Super BS.
Hey everybody, this is Branky here, your old and favorite and babyest boy, and his pal Reno. Who am I talking with?
What's up, Janky Poo, right? But dusting off the old nicknames.
Janky Poo, yeah, everybody is, yeah, I guess. Well, Brank was good. Jank and Dank and all the other ranks just did not work out because they made it so confusing. Stank Bank McBlank. I gotcha. No, yeah, we're back for like a Super BS on the minier side. For the time being, it's just the two of us. We might drag old Donna Poo back. And yeah, we wanted to chat with you guys about some games. There's been a lot of big gaming news that's happened in the last 2 years. And so yeah, how you been?
Good, man. I'm just out here in Texas now and enjoying this summer heat and playing some games when I get a chance to. What about yourself? What are you up to? How's things back in the golden state of California?
Oh, California is actually right now great. It's very cool outside. It's very cold. We get that June gloom, so it's probably like low 70s, high 60s. So I'm enjoying that. Other things are annoying, but otherwise it's been good. What have you been playing?
Okay, so I've been playing. Are we going into our quarantine catalog here? Because I've been playing quite a.
If that's what you want to talk about, I'm only bringing up 2 things I've been playing. But yeah, this has been last 3 months have been a good time. We probably should have started this at the beginning in March because we probably both played a lot of things since it started.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here I'll tell you what I'm playing right now. Currently, I'm jumping back and forth between Alan Wake and Disneyland Adventures because I figured since I can't actually go there, I might as well just play it on the go there virtually. You know what I mean?
What is Disneyland Adventures, the Kinect game?
Yeah, it's on Games Pass.
But do you have to have Kinect to play it?
No.
Wait, what do you mean? I thought you could only play that game with Kinect.
No, you just use a controller. You walk around the park, use a controller,
and then you do the mini games like the Peter Pan mini game and stuff.
Yeah, you do the mini games. You can wave your little wand around, and it'll tell you facts about Disneyland. It's fun. Really?
Okay, I'll have to check that out. I mean, I had it on 360 with Kinect, and I thought it was neat because it was like fun doing little motions and stuff. But I didn't know that they made it for Kinectless features, so you could just
you can play it without it. It's on Games Pass. You can check that out. But
real quick though, before you get into Alan Wake. This is kind of a deep dive. Did you ever play the Nintendo game about Disneyland?
No, I didn't know there was one. I know Nintendo had a bunch of like Disney how to spell and how to do math games, but I didn't know there was one where you go to the park.
You go to the park and there's 6 different games. It was like my favorite game as a kid. It was actually pretty good too. There was like a racing game and all sorts of stuff. I just was curious if you ever played it. But enough about that. I just that always reminds me of Disney. And what do you think about Alan Wake, man?
So this is my second time playing it.
Okay.
Went back because I didn't realize that Remedy has a connected universe.
Oh yeah,
like they had just kind of announced that because they did give you closure on what happens to Alan Wake in Control. Okay. And so I'm trying to work my way back up to that. So I'm playing through Alan Wake. I'm gonna play through Quantum Break next, and then I'll jump to Control. I thought about going back and playing Max Payne, but honestly, like that game does not hold up.
I haven't played Max Payne 1 or 2 in forever. I liked 3 quite a bit. I don't know if you played that one. I know it's not a Remedy game, but I was just curious if you played that.
Yeah, that was Rockstar. No, I played 1 and 2 on the original Xbox, and then like I liked it, but I just remember being so relieved when I was done with it that I didn't want to go back to it again.
Oh, I loved that John Woo slow-mo bullet time gameplay. Dude, I love those games. I haven't gone back, obviously, since it came out. But what do you have you played Quantum Break in the past? I know you just mentioned it.
No, I heard it. I've heard it was pretty bad, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
I played about hour or 2 of it, and I did not like it. And I've played some of Control, and I have not liked what I've played of that either. I love Alan Wake, though. I think Alan Wake's incredible. So hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hopefully you'll dig their other stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like their new or just Resident Evil in general, right? Like you're the first two, because you're constantly running out of ammo. You're always having to find things, and like the flash, you got to really like time the flashbang grenades, because if they'll bounce off trees, or they'll be too short in front of you and not close enough to the enemies. It's a fun game. Like it's got a really great story. It really just sucks you into it, which is ironic because it's a story about Alan Wake being sucked into his own creation. But no, I'm really digging it. Other than that, I was telling you before, I'm playing Forza Horizon 3. Okay. That one I'm kind of jumping in and out of. I'm noticing that I'm not really, like, when it comes to the Forza games, I'm not really as I don't know, not adamant, but like obsessive about playing them, because I used to have that video game OCD where I have to hit everything on the map. That's why it takes me so long to play Assassin's Creed games. But with this one, I'm playing it more casually. And it might just be because I'm busier now, but it's pretty fun. Not my favorite, but I want to know, what have you been playing?
Yeah, speaking of Resident Evil, when you're talking about Alan Wake, I picked up Resident Evil 3 when it was on sale, and Resident Evil 2 was one of my favorite games from last year, so I wanted to try 3. I had heard it was really short, so I didn't want to spend $60 on something that I heard was 5 hours. And I really enjoyed Resident Evil 3. It is extremely short. I finished it in 4.5 hours. It's hard to recommend at even $40, which is kind of what I paid. I had like a gift card
there's
thing, so it was even cheaper.
Capcom sale going on out right now, right? It's like everything's up to like 60% off.
Yeah, but I think it's still only $40. I think if you wait for the end of this year, it's going to be $20, like Resident Evil 2. And if you can get Resident Evil 2 and 3 together, I know they're doing a bundle for like $30. That would be an incredible thing, because Resident Evil 2, you have 2 campaigns you can play through. So even though they're each 5 hours, you're going to get like 10 full hours of fun time if you want to try it twice. Resident Evil 3 is a very straightforward, fairly linear game. There's a lot of parts that are, in my mind, more fun and better than 2. Like there's more locations you go to, and it's really enjoyable. But there's problems with you played 2, right? Resident Evil 2 Remake last year?
Yeah.
I enjoyed Mr. X, but I was always happy when he was gone, when I was into sections where I didn't have to think about him.
He caused me a lot of anxiety, because I don't know. There's something about having somebody right behind you all the time, and it stressed me out playing that game.
Yeah, and he was, in my mind, he was kind of annoying when you dealt with some puzzles, because you had to like try to avoid him and try to do the puzzle, and then sometimes it would just lead to me running in circles
in the hallway.
Yeah, there's tons of puzzles where you got to run in circles so you can avoid him. Resident Evil 3 kind of has it worse and better. Like they have Nemesis, who is not as annoying as Mr. X in terms of he doesn't really get in your way when you're doing puzzles, but when he shows up, the game becomes ultra linear and you have to run to your next zone while avoiding him. So if you missed anything, you pretty much can try to get it, but you might be, you might lose. You might die if you do that,
Can you go back to areas, or once you're done with that, do they become locked off?
The areas are, so each one is kind of open, and then once you go through each one, they close themselves off. So like the first one, this isn't a spoiler because this game is like 20 years old. The first one's like a town or a city, and you'll go through the whole thing, and then when you're like coming back, Nemesis will show up. And, I don't want to spoil too much, but Nemesis will show up. And then your choice is, if you want to go get anything you missed, you could try to do that. But if he like follows behind you or attacks you, he has like a super far reaching thing. He has like ability to shoot guns, all this other stuff. He makes it kind of impossible to do stuff. So pretty much what you're supposed to do is just move to the next area to like escape him. And those moments are cool and fun, but it does make it feel like, oh man, I missed bullets right here that I wanted to go back and get for later. I guess I'm not getting those. So whatever.
Two questions here, because I have not played this one. It's been one I've been debating about, but I'll probably wait till it's cheaper. Does he, once you shoot him enough times, does he stop and then gives you a chance to get away, or does he keep charging at you? I know Mr. X kind of fainted a little bit, right?
Yeah, I guess I'll say it because I don't think it's that big a deal. I'm sure a lot of people figure this out. If you throw explosive devices at him, like a grenade, he'll like fall down and he'll actually drop items. And like some of the items he drops are like add-ons to your gun and stuff. But this is only the beginning of the game with him. Like he shows up, several other times, and there are some cool things about him. Like he's a pretty fun boss fight, honestly. Like you fight him quite a few times, and it was pretty enjoyable. But yeah, I would say he's both the best and worst part of that game, or not the best. I would say he's both an okay and worst part of that game. Like it's kind of enjoyable when you're fighting him and doing the boss fights because I think they're pretty fun. But it's not. I would rather just walk around Raccoon City and deal with the hordes of zombies as they show up because it's just more enjoyable. And some of the other enemies are pretty fun and inventive, and they don't feel like Nemesis where it's like, oh, hey, they're really hard to take out, but if I have a grenade or enough shotgun bullets, I'll be able to take them out.
Is it okay? So I mean, that was going to be my next question. Is ammo still scarce in this one, or is it a little more plentiful?
I feel like it's more plentiful, but maybe it's because I didn't try to attack Nemesis with my guns. So like I kind of, I don't know if I read or knew, but I figured out that he just doesn't take any damage to gunfire. So it's like I didn't ever try to shoot him. I mean, I think I tried once with shotgun bullet. I felt like going into the last boss, especially, I had enough ammo that I had to like choose which guns to take because I couldn't keep all the ammo on me for all the guns. So yeah, it's I think there's enough. It's still definitely some ammo scarcity, but I don't want to say it's like too even.
Yeah, 2 got intense. Like you found yourself in a lot of situations in that game where you couldn't do anything because you couldn't fire back.
And they added some cool things like that in this game. They have a dodge roll now where if like you timed it at the right time when a zombie tries to attack you, your character will dodge out of the way. So I thought that's pretty cool. So you don't, when you have those moments, you're not just like, oh man, I got to slowly try to run by this guy like you were Leon in the station, you can like dodge and pass them. And so I think things like that are neat, and I really do enjoy it. I'm glad they're doing these remakes. I picked up Resident Evil 7. I haven't turned it on yet because I want to try it in the day because the demo was so scary that I just couldn't play it. So, but I've been really digging Resident Evil 7. And when we talk about the PlayStation 5, I'm really looking forward to 8 as well. But yeah
8 looks cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have one final question about this, though.
Yeah.
Does it have the same magic that the Resident Evil 2 remake had? Because it felt really good going back to Resident Evil 2, having it look like that.
So I never played Resident Evil 2 or 3 before these remakes. So for me,
really?
It didn't. Yeah, no, I never played either of them. I played 1 before this happened, and I realized with the tank controls. Actually, you know what? No, my first experience with 1 was the remake on GameCube, which while it was cool, it's tank controls and still annoying to play. I bought it on Xbox again, and I just haven't wanted to try it out again.
It's hard, man. It's difficult.
Yeah. It's a beautiful game. It's a lot of fun. I definitely say there is a magic to it. I can't tell you it's as good as 2, and it's definitely missing some of the things that made 2 amazing. A good example would be this. Like, even not including you and I, a lot of people chose Resident Evil 2 as their favorite game from last year. And last year had some decent games. This year, I don't think Resident Evil 3 is going to be in the conversation like at all. Like, if it even gets mentioned in a top 10 list, I would be surprised. I think it's a great game, and I enjoy it, but I don't even think it's my top, maybe it's my top 5 favorite right now, but we're only halfway through a year that still has 3 or 4 big hitters, and who knows how many small things,
Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad, though? 3 or 4 big hitters. We haven't had really a lot pushed out this year. I'm hoping, holiday season, we'll see the release of some cool ones. Halo Infinite's supposed to be coming out, but it's been a sad year for games, man.
I guess, man. I mean, you say that, but it's like between like Animal Crossing New Horizons and Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I didn't play Dragon Ball Z, but that came out at the beginning, and then Resident Evil 3 and Doom Eternal and the Half-Life VR remake and the Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima and Halo Infinite and Cyberpunk 2077, which those 2 are supposed to come out. Like
if they do.
Yeah, if they do. I think they will. I don't think it's going to be that sad of a year. I do get like your point where it doesn't feel like it's been that many like wall-to-wall releases, but the end of March, the beginning of April, that was kind of crazy. Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal launched the same day, and then Resident Evil was the week after, and then Final Fantasy VII was the week after that. And this was all happening while we were all locked at home, and the world felt like it was falling apart. So it was like a weird, surreal time. And even then, there was like small side games like Trials of Mana that came out. And, I played most of those games. I don't want to talk about all of them today. I did play one other one I want to talk with you about. I played last year. One of my favorite games was Mortal Kombat 11. I'm not normally a fighting game fan at all, but the story mode in that game was incredible. So good. It makes me want them to make another movie. It was so good.
They are making another movie.
Really?
Yeah, it's supposed to hit theaters next year.
Oh, sure.
It's made. I forget who's attached to direct, but it's supposed to. From what I understand, it's supposed to be more like grounded than the early '90s version.
I don't even care about more grounded. If they remade the early '90s version with better acting, a little bit more sensible plot, and better graphics, I think it would be pretty fun. I just started rewatching that movie the other day, and it's enjoyable. It's just bad acting, very bad CGI, and that's mainly the two bad things. Like the story itself is whatever. So
yeah, I just want more scenes of Goro eating chicken. That's all.
That's what it's all about, man. You got to have that. But no, they really.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say the first one is tolerable. I went back and tried to watch Annihilation.
That's bad.
It hurts my eyes watching that movie.
Annihilation is the perfect movie to watch with a group of friends when you want to make fun of something, because by the end, when they're doing the claymation fight scene, it's just so bad that there's very few things. Yeah, I can't even think of many things that are just as horribly produced or made as that made it to theaters. Like it's kind of mind-blowing. I remember those commercials when I was a kid. God made the earth in 7 days. It will only take 3 to destroy it, or whatever it was. Annihilation. But but yeah, so Mortal Kombat 11, and I'm not super knowledgeable about fighting games, so I don't know if this has been done before, but they released a story DLC this year called Aftermath. With it, you got like RoboCop, a few other of the Mortal Kombat characters, and if you paid a little bit more money, you got all their Season Pass characters like Terminator, Spawn, all those guys. But the story mode continuation was like a blast. It's, again, similar to Resident Evil 3. It's not as good as Mortal Kombat 11, but it's like a $30 DLC. It's probably about 5 hours worth of content. And it's just so much fun to go into that world, watch this incredible looking CGI, and then when you do play, have like super fun fight scenes that are all like tied together with fairly, like at least an enjoyable story. Like I don't know a ton about the Mortal Kombat lore, but it's easy enough to follow.
Can I play on easy? I'm really bad. As my only experience with fighting games is Virtua Fighter 2 on Sega Genesis.
Wow. Okay.
So, and I did pick up Mortal Kombat versus DC, and I got I think I got past the match with the Flash, but that's it. So can I play this on easy mode? Because you have talked so high about it, including on the Topic Ocalypse Game of the Year episode, which you guys can all check out now. You spoke very highly about it, so I am tempted to go out and play this. I
don't remember if there's a mode selection. There are, in the original game, there's only really like 1 or 2 hard fights, like the last boss was the one that I died on. And I'm not a good fighting game player at all. I pretty much just use the same combo. So they make it simple enough that I don't think you'd struggle. And in the DLC, I don't even remember the last boss being that difficult. So I don't know if I lost a single fight in the DLC. Like I think I may have lost, how most fights are two different like rounds. I think I may have lost 1 round or 2 rounds total in the entire game. So... And like I said, I'm not a fighting game fan. I don't ever learn the combos. I mean, I learned a couple here because you just press start and you left, right, X or whatever, left, down, left, A, and you'll do stuff. But it's worth playing just because it is so well made. And fighting games, it works well for fighting games. Like, if you think about a fighting game story, it's so hard to make them enjoyable and like tied together because... what are you going to do, right? You can't have them. They don't normally work around when you're running around a world map. So what they did here, and that can work, but in my experience, there's not a lot of great fighting games where you run around a world map or or what do you do? Just move along an icon. This made it essentially a movie where you had the playable sections were just the fighting scenes. And
Okay.
I really dug it because the story was fun enough that it was like, whoa, I want to see what's happening each time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I am incredibly intrigued because I have the game stores out here. Every time I've been in one, I've had someone goes up to the counter, asks if they have Mortal Kombat in stock, and they say no. So it must be selling, quite a few copies still, even months after it's released. So it is something I do want to get to eventually. But
yeah. And I mean, now is kind of like the perfect time. I mean, it's not totally on sale yet, but they released when Aftermath came out, they released the whole collection, which is the single player main game or the main game, all of the DLC characters like Terminator and all those guys, and Aftermath for $60. So originally what you would pay is $60 for the main game if you bought it right at launch, $40 for the DLC. So everything's now $60. So when that drops to like $30, I mean, that's $30 for like 16 to 18 hours of fun gameplay, like not including if you actually really wanted to do the multiplayer or the tower challenges or run around the crypt and fight guys and do, because they have a third person like collectibles place you can go to too that I looked at. But it's just, for me, the main thing I was enjoying was the story. So I don't really care that much about those other things. Like, that just didn't sell it to me. The story was why I played it. So
yeah. And did you? I mean, do you have to go back and play? If you're new to the series, can you just jump in and it'll still be just as good?
I mean, I've never played 9 or 10. I've heard they're good. 10 is on Games Pass. Like, I've been meaning to check it out at some point, but I don't feel like I needed to know anything. I feel like it's so easy to understand, and they kind of like, they do that thing that you wish everything did, where like they'll use maybe like a sentence of dialogue and be like, oh, you did this, right? But it doesn't sound like super cheesy, and it fills you in on everything you need to know. So it's like, oh, okay. There's a lot that's like, oh man, you could probably watch a lore video if you really wanted to be like, what are all the realms and all this other junk. I didn't watch a lore video. I still don't know all that stuff. I don't think that stuff is necessary to enjoy the game at all, because it is like a fantasy, sci-fi, cheesy game. Like, it's just enjoy it. It's kind of like an action movie that's really, really well made. So
it's a popcorn game.
It is totally a popcorn game, and it was like what I'm glad about both that and Resident Evil 3 is they're both extremely short, to the point where it's like, hey, yeah, I'm really glad I got to play them, and then it's not like I spent 40 or 50 hours. It was just like, hey, okay, 2-3 nights, sit down, play the game, and I'm done with it. Like, you're probably honestly 4 nights or so. Any other games that you've been playing before we talk a little bit about the news?
No, I on a future chat, I know we're gonna talk Final Fantasy VII. So
yeah, I'd like to bring Donna
right now.
But yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. That's the game outside of Animal Crossing, which I've spent probably close to 100 hours with. Final Fantasy VII Remake is the game I've played the longest this year. Not Apex Legends 2. Outside of live service games, Final Fantasy VII is the longest playing single player story game I've played this year. About the news, we're going to just actually talk about the news that dropped today. There was a big Pokemon Direct, and what was encompassed in it, and what did you feel about it? Like, what did it talk about?
They talked about the Sword and Shield DLC packs. Pokemon. There's a new Pokemon Snap coming out.
Yeah, I know. Wait, real quick. What's your history with Pokemon Snap? Did you have it? Did you ever play it?
I never owned it. I own it now, but I never had it growing up. I would go to friends' house and I'd play it, and they also had Pokemon Stadium and all that stuff. But like Pokemon Snap was fun, because it's a easy to play game. I know there's some like frustrating things in it, but like is a very casual game, and I think that was something I appreciated, because I didn't have to sit there and play the whole thing. I can jump in and out of it when I was over at people's houses.
Yeah, I know you said you own it now. What do you own it on? Nintendo 64?
Nintendo 64, yeah. I
you bought,
games.
Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, that's cool. Yeah, because I was wondering, I was like, I know it came to Wii U, but I can't think of anything more modern, and I didn't know if you owned a Wii U, and I owned one, but I sold mine, so I haven't played Pokemon Snap since, 96 or 7 or whenever it came out, many years ago.
Long time ago.
It might have been 98 even, but Go ahead, sir.
What's your history with the game, though? Because I mean, you had a Nintendo 64 growing up. I did. So tell me, you're probably a better source for this. So tell me about it.
So I found out about Pokemon through Super Smash Brothers, the original. I want to say that was 1998 or 99.
So you never played Red and Blue when they first came out?
I played Red and Blue after Smash Brothers. After I played Pikachu in the game, that's how I found out about him. Then I got Blue. And I played through that. I loved it. And then I want to say this was before Pokemon Snap came out. So I'm not sure the date that Pokemon Snap came out, but this was all before that. Because when Pokemon Snap came out, I was super excited. I was going to Blockbuster. I had my memory card. I was ready to play it. It was a blast. Yeah, man, I was crazy into Pokemon until about 2000, 2001. So for a couple years, I got all the cards. Recently, and I don't think we got to talk about this on Super BS, but we've talked about it privately. I have not been as interested in Pokemon games. I did play quite a bit of Sword, which I picked up. Was that last year or 2 years ago now? It was last year.
Last year.
Man, that feels so. Time feels weird. So last year I picked up Pokemon Sword. Did you play that?
Yeah, I did. I finished it.
Okay.
It's I don't know. It didn't have the it was cool to play it in like a 3D setting, but it just didn't have the magic, of those Game Boy games when we were kids. Granted, I haven't played like the last Game Boy version I played was what was the one after Gold and Silver?
No, Emerald Leaf and stuff was Game Boy Advance. Gold and Silver. Oh boy,
was it
Diamond?
Sapphire, the blue one?
Probably
is Sapphire. That was the last like main line Pokemon I played. But
wow.
It was fun. I have an issue with the we talked about this too. The non-voice dialogue and just the dialogue in general is awful.
That game, I have it as well, and I got pretty far. I don't even think I have. I think I have like 5 gym passes or 4 gym passes, so I think I'm halfway through before you get to the last part of the game. There's a lot of issues with it. I did like it, but between the same issue I have with all of them, it's really slow. Like the game's just extremely slow moving. You have to have just infinite patience with it. The combat's slow. Everything about it is slow. And then like it's just, I feel like they're pulling teeth to get them into the modern world. It's kind of like Nintendo in a lot of ways where it's like, oh, they don't like the internet and they don't believe in this and they don't want cloud saves and Nintendo's been moving slowly towards like kind of becoming modern, if you can even call it that. But the Pokemon Company is like dragging their heels in the mud. They are like refusing to do voice stuff. They're just, I have a lot of issues with Pokemon Sword. I don't know if I'll ever beat it. I did like what I played and I've gone back a couple times, but I don't know if I'll get to the end of it.
Yeah, and it's and I guess like to its to its advantage, I suppose it is a game that you don't have to play all in one sitting. Like it is a casual game. You can go back and play it when you want to, but you're right. Nintendo is kind of dragging their heels because it is set up to be. It has potential to be a pretty cool, childish action RPG in its own right, but they're just not taking advantage of that. There's too stuck in the past, and I think that's going to eventually be an issue for them.
Yeah, for me, it's not even like the turn-based battle system that's that bad. Like, they don't have to make it into an action RPG. They don't have to change that much. They just need to offer more accessibility. I think you could turn off the action animations, but they should also let you speed up everything in that game. Like there should be a button to speed up stuff with how slow it is because like I said, I'm halfway through and I think I've played well over 10 hours and it's just like ridiculous kind of because I'm not like stopping.
Yeah. And like the gym fights take forever because you have to sit there and watch all the animations. You have to sit there and watch the Dynamaxing. You have to sit there and watch them like have that, oh, you took out 2 of my Pokemon. I'm going to sit here and say something snarky for 2 minutes, and then I'm going to Dynamax my Pokemon. They do take a long time. I get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, Dynamaxing is the dumbest thing that company has ever decided to make. I think they did something called Mega Evolutions or something like that in one of the games. I think they probably should just found an idea they liked instead of what I from people, I'll listen to podcasts, people talk about Pokemon, is they essentially come up with a new like gimmick every game and they try that. And in my mind, Dynamaxing is the stupidest gimmick ever. Your guy becomes big, he does more damage. If the other guy does it and he becomes big and you don't become big, you're going to probably die after a few turns. It's not like the damage is that incredibly difficult. And you only have like, 2-3 moves when you Dynamax? You don't even have like a full list. You have attack and defend.
Yeah, well, and a lot of them do the same things. Like you can go to say there's like Slash or there's Ember. They look the same. It's the same attack.
Yeah. Yeah, that company still, I mean, I checked in on Sword. If they make a ton of progress by the time they make the next one, I know they just released the DLC today, I think, for this one. So if they make a ton of progress by Pokemon, whatever it's called, I'll probably check it out. But otherwise, I'm probably going to give them another game or two before I try it again, because that's how I've handled this so far. Like I skipped the Hawaiian ones. I tried the other one on 3DS, the one before that. I skipped the Black and White and Black and White 2, and I tried the Pearl or whatever it was called, the one before that, because I pretty much just want to jump in each time and see if they made it fun. But every time I get into the slog, and this one's by far the best. Like they have fixed so many issues, but it still is just, I feel like I'm living in the past when I play this thing, and like an old Nintendo game where it's like, oh, you have 95 hours to sit here and watch this thing, right? You don't have everything on earth trying to grab your attention nowadays. Like
right.
Super BS.
Yeah, is there anything else from the Pokemon news today that you were interested in talking about?
So I'm not one of those people that really read. Actually, that's a total lie. I do read really far into things, but as soon as the Pokemon conference was over, there's all these things popping up on the internet saying, "Oh, so and so is hinting at Gold and Silver. Let's go." So I just want to know: do you think that that's a possibility in the future? Because that is something I would want to play.
So I think it's possible. And again, like I just said, I don't want to check in on any Pokemon games. I would be interested in that one only because I never, I picked up Gold and Silver, but I was actually kind of falling out of interest of Pokemon when that came out. So I would want to try that out because unlike Red and Blue, I don't really know too much about Gold and Silver. So I'd be interested in like kind of seeing how that works. But yeah, I mean, I definitely could see that happening. The world is a crazy place right now, and Nintendo hasn't really announced a lot of what they're releasing this year. So we don't really know anything that they're releasing besides Paper Mario in July. So I have a feeling they need to fill up their release window.
You think we're going to get some announcements about holiday gaming here soon?
I don't even know. I know that there's the rumor that they're releasing a ton of Mario games this year, and I'm really hoping that's true because I'd love to play all those 3D Marios that they're talking about releasing, Galaxy and 64 and a bunch of others. But I couldn't even speculate. Honestly, like with everything going on, I would hope that by July, August, we'll hear from them. But we're already midway through June, and they haven't really, made a peep. Supposedly this Friday, there is a rumor that the Metroid Prime trilogy would come out for Switch. But, I mean, it's supposed
this Friday?
That's what the rumor was. But that rumor was made, I think, in late April or May, and they have nothing to announce. So my guess is even if that was supposed to be the case, when the June Direct got canceled due to all the stuff going on in the world, they moved everything back. So even if they're gonna announce stuff, I would expect a 1 to 2 month delay on everything. So yeah, if you told me that Pokemon Let's Go was ready, and I wouldn't be surprised because I played the last one, it seems like those games aren't impossible to make once you've made one. I think they'll probably pump one out because they need games this year. Everybody is trying to figure out what they can release this year when their release windows went out the window. So we're going to find out, man. This is going to be a unique time for gaming. Like you mentioned earlier, you think Cyberpunk or Halo might get pushed. I'm hoping both of those don't get pushed. Sony has kept their game launches for the most part, I guess, after delaying. I think their 2 games this year will come out, Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us Part 2. But yeah, everything else is a mystery, and we'll probably discuss that more on future shows, whether we want to talk about the PS5 reveal, which happened just like last week, or all the other crazy news that's happened during this time. there's a lot of strange stuff going on in gaming right now, and I think it will be. I think we're still going to look back at this year, and I think it's still going to be pretty phenomenal. Just because last year, to be honest, didn't set the world on fire either. Like I loved Resident Evil 2 remake, but it wasn't like there was a ton of games that were great coming out last year either. So
yeah, no, I spent a majority of last year playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey DLC. So
yeah, and you got Valhalla coming out this year, so I would be very surprised if that gets pushed. Ubisoft, I mean, if they even get half of their content out this year that they were supposed to, the new Watch Dogs, potentially new Far Cry, Gods and Monsters, that Assassin's Creed Valhalla, there's gonna be some good games if they get even just 50% of those games out, because there's a rumor the new Far Cry is going to be part of this next presentation, and then Watch Dogs got pushed from January to who knows when, but probably later this year, like maybe even next year, honestly, because like the game was about Brexit and now the world is a totally different place, so they might want to try to make it more topical now, so they might have to redo some of the storyline
just
stuff.
Gonna put masks on all the people in the
that
game.
is yeah, man, it's a weird world, because that was like, when that came out, I was like, whoa, that's a big thing, even though I was 2 or 3 years old at the time. It was like, whoa, that's crazy. That's such a big thing to talk about. It's like, man, that feels like what kids used to talk about now. So,
yeah, right.
But yeah, I'm hoping with this reignition of Super BS, we can get back to just chatting about games and what we like, and instead of focusing on everything going on, just enjoying for the few minutes we can every week the thing that we like. Anything else?
I don't know about. I was gonna say I don't know about you, but I mean, playing games is really the only time I'm able to stop focusing on things going on in the news, right? Because my mind is fully immersed in this thing. So it's nice. It's a nice distraction.
It is.
Even as a 31-year-old man, I need it.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Like I've had a couple of things, thankfully, that have kept me out of it, but it's been good to just have a minute or two each day where it's like, oh, hey, I'm playing this thing, and it makes me feel like, hey, this is what I used to do before. Things are normal, and I don't I can shut off the, oh, hey, everything's weird. So, but yeah, man. So hopefully we'll be back. We don't really know our schedule yet. We don't even know when we're going to put this up. We got to reset up all that stuff. Hopefully in a week this will be up, or this week. But our goal is to either do a weekly to bi-weekly podcast. It's going to be a lot more fluid than it used to be. We're recording in different states now, and for the time being, it's just the two of us till we can get old Donna on the line. But yeah, just appreciate anyone who's joining us, and hopefully you enjoy it. Peace.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.